So this is my car, which we bought when the kids were small and we had to do a lot of shifting of children around all the time. But now as they've got older, it does very little indeed. In fact, I only use it a couple of times a week, usually to move one child somewhere in the city, and it seems very inefficient to take sort of 2 tons of steel to move 2 people a few miles. Moving to an electric vehicle makes no sense because our mileage is so small, we'd probably never make up the carbon for manufacturing the new vehicle. So the question is, what can we do? So this is my Tern GSD cargo bike. It's a long tail cargo bike, so the extra people and stuff goes behind the rider rather than the ones you see with the stuff in front. And I picked a long tail because my kids are basically young adults now, so this is a bit more dignified. And also it said that a long tail rides a bit more like a traditional bike. It's a bit of a beast, weighs 30 kilos, it looks massive, but actually it's the same size as a normal bike, more or less. But it also has a very nifty design feature. Grab the rear brake, it is very easy to pivot it up onto its back and it will stand there quite safely. And then for a bit extra space, the handlebars fold in as well. Okay, at the heart of the bike is the Bosch Cargo Line motor, which provides up to 800% of assist. It's got 4 modes: Eco, Tour, Sport and Turbo. I tend to use Tour for the vast majority of the time and will flick it up to Turbo if I'm going up a steep hill with plenty of cargo. The brakes are excellent, 4-piston, and they need to be excellent because when you're going downhill in this thing, when it's fully laden, you have a lot of momentum. Batteries here, I've got 1 battery, there's space for 2, I've got one on order for a second one, but to be honest, I'm finding 1 battery's enough for what I'm doing with it at the minute, and it charges up really quickly, and I rarely have to charge it more than once a week for my usage. Built-in lock stand, which is very useful as well. And alongside the Dutch lock. Now I only lock it with this if it's in sight of where I am, if I'm sat outside a cafe. And one of the few criticisms I'd make of a bike is around that sort of security thing, is that the design of the frame means there's limited places to get a U-bolt through. It's not as easy as on a conventional bike. And secondly, there's no security on the seat. So you have to loop a cable through there to make sure that doesn't go walkies. It's got these small but fat tyres which roll quite nicely. I haven't lost grip yet, and these dinky little suspension forks which help smooth out the ride. The gearing is a 1x9 speed and it's quite low geared, which is good because the motor only kicks in once the bike's moving, so there's always that little bit of time it takes just to put a bit of pressure on the pedals to get it moving forward before the motor will kick in. Another feature that I really appreciate is the built-in lights, which you can leave on all day long. You don't have to worry about charging because they come off the battery. And it even has a brake light to let people know what you're up to from behind. It's very practical with the mud guards and the pretty comprehensive chain guard here. So it's absolutely fantastic. In fact, the only downside really is the price. This is expensive. You're talking about thousands of pounds for the basic bike, plus then the accessories are all pretty expensive too. They're all very well made, but you do have to pay for that. So I put on the front carrier, the captain's seat to take. You can take 2 very small children if you have a different bar setup, but I'm only ever taking 1 person at a time. And the handlebars, so they've got something to hold on to. Small child, because of the powerful brakes, did end up crashing into my back once. And these absolute cavernous panniers, which are very well made, but again, they are not cheap. and I think this is the optimum setup for me. If I'm taking cargo, I just use an old plastic crate. So it is not cheap, but it has to be seen in the context of replacing a car rather than being a bike, because of course once you've purchased it, you don't have to pay obligatory insurance, you don't have to pay road tax, you don't have to pay for an MOT, the servicing's all cheaper, etc, etc. The running costs on the battery are almost negligible. It charges within an hour easily, and you know, people who have done calculations on it say it's, you know, it's a few pounds a year really. Okay, my conclusion is this will do 90% of what I need a car for. I could join a car club for the other 10%. It would be a much more efficient way to live. But the one thing above all else is pottering about in this thing, doing my daily business is fun. It is absolutely brilliant and I love it.